But before that, when you were a boy,
Flute.
what kind of flute?
Bamboo Japanese flute.
What? Where'd you get that from?
A 5 and 10 cent store.
And tell me about that.
Well, I went to the 5 and 10 cent store and they had some Japanese flutes made out of bamboo and they had 6 holes in them. And I said, that looks interesting. Let me try to play it. And I took it home, bought it, and I had some Christmas carols that I knew, and I started humming through the flute. And next thing I knew, I was able to finger the notes and play Christmas carols.
How old were you? About 34, 35?
Oh no, I was 8.
Hey, so you were self-taught?
Yes, I started.
What did you do to buttress your training as you got older? What sort of formal training, if any, did you pick up along the way?
Well, along the way, I was in public school in New York City, and I went to junior high school, and they had a great music program. I started playing. Then I went to clarinet and oboe, and I picked up the sax the last year of high school. I learned how to read music, and I picked up several instruments: the flute, the soprano. Then I went to City College, and I played baritone. I was in a Latin jazz band. And I played a little bass also.
Now, let me ask you something. If you grew up in Fargo, you wouldn't be so good, but you grew up in a place that gave you an atmosphere and an environment to succeed. Where was that?
Where was that?
Yeah.
That was in New York City.
New York City. Tell me about it.
Well, New York City was rich with culture and even the radio station, newspapers, it was always beaming with stimulation, and there were clubs all over this town, there were workshops in the village, Greenwich Village, Harlem. There were a lot of workshops in Harlem.
I know, and of course, I could guess your age, and around the time you were coming to maturity, the Brooklyn Academy of Music was really getting going. You have any role with them, or you have to do anything with them?
Yes, I took some flute lessons in the Muse, the Brooklyn Academy of Music. I believe that was in Flatbush.
Yep.
Yeah, I took a couple of lessons there with a brother. His name was Rodney, and then I learned the 2-5-1 chord progressions in jazz. It's one of 90% of all jazz songs use that progression. So I learned the foundations there with Brooklyn Academy of Music.
You know, listening to you talk about the jazz progressions, I know you're a jazz scholar. Speak to that issue about what you've learned about jazz and how you hope to propagate that knowledge.
What I learned about jazz is that jazz is life. In other words, like even Charlie Parker once said that jazz is life. If you don't live it, it won't come out of your horn. So I always thought about that, and through my life, I noticed my music has changed, and I express my music through my experiences. And it's a never-ending journey. You're always learning something new. There's always something challenging, always something that you haven't touched on, and that keeps me going.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So you're like an ambassador for this message that Charlie Parker said. You live some life, you share it when you play.
Right.
And you also do lessons and collaborations.
Yes, I do.
Okay, you're just sharing that good word.
Oh, yes. Yes, lessons?
Yes.
Yes, I give private lessons. And lessons are interesting because you get into the student's head, and as you teach, you learn. And you learn more about the student, and it's very, you learn to communicate, not only verbally, but also musically. The music is a lot of nonverbal communication, so when you're teaching, some of it is also intuitive, and the way you communicate is pretty interesting.
I just made up a saying. Every student is a teacher, and every teacher is a student. How does that apply to your classes?
Well, as a teacher, I'm always learning. I'm always teachable because I know what I know is just a very small percentage of what is to be known, and what I learn is just my experience. But think about the millions of experiences that other jazz musicians have gone through.
Yes.
And as music is life, and think about all the lives and experiences that they have had, and it's just infinite.
Yes.
So you've got to stay teachable.
I love it.
You've got to keep growing.
I love it.
Once you start learning, that's when you die. That's the end of life.
That's a good place to stop. What do you think?
I like that.